Hello everyone and welcome back to Living in Lapland. I'm Tina.
And I'm Sami. Great to have you with us again.
Today we're talking about one of my absolute favorite winter activities here in Finnish Lapland, cross-country skiing. And I have to say, Sami, you really got me into this sport.
Oh, I'm so glad I did. You know, when people think about skiing in Lapland, they often imagine the middle of winter. You know, minus 30 degrees, complete darkness.
Right, exactly.
But actually, the best time for cross-country skiing here is in the spring. I'd say from March to early May is it's magical.
Oh, absolutely magical. And you know what I love most about spring skiing? The temperature. When it's right around 0 degrees Celsius, maybe just a bit below or above. The snow conditions are just perfect. It's not that hard icy snow you get in the deep winter. And it's not too soft either.
Exactly. It's like, how can I describe it? It's like the snow has this perfect grip. Your skis just glide so smoothly, but you still have control. And you don't need to bundle up in 5 layers of clothing.
Yes, that's such a good point. I remember my first winter here, I went skiing in January wearing so many clothes I could barely move.
Oh no.
I looked like, what do you call it? A marshmallow on skis. But in spring, you can wear just a light jacket, maybe a warm sweater underneath. It's so much more comfortable.
A marshmallow on skis. I love that. Yeah. And you know what else makes spring skiing so special here? The daylight. Oh my goodness, the daylight.
Oh, tell me about it. Those long spring days. I mean, in April, the sun is up for what, 16, 17 hours?
Something like that, yeah. It's incredible. You can start skiing at 8 in the morning and still have beautiful light at 9 in the evening.
Right. And the quality of light is it's different. It's not that harsh, bright summer light. It's kind of soft and golden, especially in the evening.
Exactly. You know, I went skiing last April around 7 in the evening, and the sun was still pretty high in the sky, casting these long shadows across the snow.
Oh, beautiful.
And the trees were starting to get their spring colors. You know, that fresh green on the birch trees against the white snow? It was like skiing through a painting.
That sounds amazing. Actually, speaking of skiing techniques, for our listeners who might be new to cross-country skiing, Sami, what would you say is the most important thing for beginners to know?
Well, I think the first thing is, don't try to go too fast. I see a lot of beginners, they think cross-country skiing is like running, but on skis.
Right.
But it's really about finding your rhythm. You want to use your whole body, your arms, your legs, your core. It's like a dance, really.
A dance! I like that. And I think balance is huge, right? When I was starting out, I was so worried about falling that I was really tense.
Oh, yeah.
Which actually made me fall more. You taught me to just relax and trust the skis.
Yes, trust the skis. And you know what? Even if you do fall, it's not the end of the world. The snow is soft, especially in spring. I always tell people, falling is part of learning.
Absolutely. And here in Lapland, we have such beautiful trails. The skiing tracks are well maintained and they go through some incredible scenery.
Oh, definitely. My favorite trail is the one that goes around Vikajärvi Lake. It's about 12 kilometers, so it's not too long for beginners, but it's got these great views of the lake and the surrounding forests.
That's a beautiful trail.
And in spring, you might even see some reindeer. They come closer to the trail sometimes, looking for food as the snow melts.
Really? That's so cool. I haven't seen reindeer on the trails yet. Are they afraid of skiers?
Well, they're pretty used to people here, but you should keep your distance. Just stop and watch them quietly. They're beautiful animals. Last spring, I saw a mother with her calf. They were just grazing peacefully next to the trail. I stopped for about 10 minutes, just watching them. It was one of those perfect moments, you know?
That sounds incredible. You know, that's something I really love about living here. These unexpected encounters with nature. You could be skiing along, enjoying the exercise and the scenery, and suddenly you have this magical wildlife moment.
Exactly. And spring is perfect for that because the animals are more active. Winter is so harsh, but in spring, everything comes alive again.
Right. And for our listeners who are thinking about trying cross-country skiing in Lapland, what gear would you recommend? Do you need to buy everything, or can you rent?
Oh, definitely start by renting. Most sporting goods stores here rent skis, boots, and poles. That way you can try different types and see what you like before you invest in your own equipment.
Good advice. And the basic gear is just skis, boots, and poles, right? Plus warm clothes.
Yeah, that's it. For spring skiing, you really don't need much. Maybe a light jacket, some gloves, and a hat. Oh, and sunglasses. The snow can be really bright, especially on sunny days.
Good point about the sunglasses. I learned that the hard way. So, Sami, if someone is visiting Lapland in spring and they want to try cross-country skiing, what would be your top recommendation for them?
I'd say start with a short trail, maybe 3 or 4 kilometers. Take your time, enjoy the scenery. Don't worry about speed or technique too much at first. Just get the feel for it. Actually, let me tell you about my favorite beginner trail. It's the Ounasjoki River trail that starts right from the center of Rovaniemi.
Oh, yes, I know that one. It's so accessible and you get those beautiful views of the river. Plus, it's flat, which is perfect when you're just learning.
Exactly. And if people want something a bit more challenging, there's the Ounasvaara hill trails. They have loops of different lengths, 5, 8, and 15 kilometers. The views from up there are incredible, especially of the city and the surrounding forests.
I love those trails. You know, speaking of learning, I have to share a funny story about my first time on the Ounasvaara trails. Sami, you remember this? I was so determined to keep up with you that I completely wore myself out in the first kilometer.
Oh, I remember that. You were trying to do this power skiing technique you'd seen on YouTube or somewhere.
Yes, I thought I could just muscle through it like I was doing some intense cardio workout. But what I didn't realize is that cross-country skiing is about efficiency, not just strength. I was fighting the snow instead of working with it.
Right. And then I had to explain to you about reading the snow conditions. That's something a lot of beginners don't realize. The snow tells you how to ski on it.
Oh, this is so important for our listeners to understand. Could you explain what you mean by reading the snow? Because I found this fascinating once I learned it.
Sure. So in spring, you have different types of snow, depending on the time of day and temperature. In the morning, when it's been cool overnight, the snow surface has a thin crust. We call it harsh, and your skis glide really fast with minimal effort.
That's amazing. So it's like having a natural speed boost in the morning.
Exactly. But then as the day warms up and the sun gets stronger, that crust starts to soften. By midday, especially if it's sunny, the snow becomes more grippy, better for uphill climbing, but you need to work a bit harder on the flats.
So if someone is planning a longer ski trip, they should consider the time of day and what kind of terrain they want to cover.
Absolutely. I always recommend starting early if you want to cover a lot of distance. Say 8 or 9 a.m. when you still have that fast crust. But if you're planning to do hills or you want a more leisurely pace, late morning or early afternoon is perfect. The snow gives you more control.
You know what I really love about spring skiing? It's such a social activity here. I see families out on the trails, friends skiing together in groups. There's something about the warmer weather that just brings people out.
Oh, definitely. And you know what's great? In winter, everyone's so bundled up you can barely recognize each other. But in spring, people are more relaxed, stopping to chat on the trails. I've made so many new friends just by meeting them out skiing. Actually, I have this tradition with my family. Every Easter, we do this long ski tour together. We pack a huge picnic lunch and head out to the Vikajärvi trail I mentioned earlier. We'll ski for a few hours, then find a sunny spot by the lake for lunch.
That sounds wonderful. What do you usually pack for these family ski picnics? And do you have any traditions for afterwards? I'm thinking about the Finnish sauna culture.
Oh, you know Finnish culture well. We pack thermoses of hot coffee, some traditional Finnish pastries like pulla, maybe some sandwiches. But the real tradition is when we get home, straight to the sauna. There's nothing like a hot sauna after hours in the cold spring air.
I have to say, that was one of the things I had to get used to when I moved here. The idea of going from cold outdoor activities straight into a hot sauna seemed so extreme at first. But now I completely understand it's the perfect way to warm up and relax those muscles.
And you know, for visitors who want to try this, many of the ski rental places also offer sauna packages. Places like Ski Point in Rovaniemi or Lapland safaris. They'll rent you gear for the day and you can book sauna time afterward. Some even have little cafes where you can warm up with hot chocolate.
That's really helpful for visitors to know. And I should mention, if people are planning a trip here for spring skiing, timing is important, right? Like early March versus late April can be quite different conditions.
Absolutely. Early March, you're still dealing with pretty winter conditions, colder temperatures, shorter days, but it's usually very reliable snow. Mid-March to mid-April is what I call the golden window. Long days, good snow, pleasant temperatures. After that, it gets trickier because the snow starts to melt more during the day.
I learned this the hard way last year. I tried to go skiing in early May, and while the morning was beautiful, by afternoon the trails were getting really slushy. I ended up having to carry my skis for the last kilometer back to the parking lot.
Oh no, I remember you telling me about that. That's why I always check the weather forecast and start early in late season. But you know what? Even when the skiing gets difficult, the landscapes are incredible. All that fresh green starting to show through the snow.
You know, I've been thinking about what makes spring skiing here in Lapland so special compared to other places I visited. I think it's the combination of the incredibly pure wilderness, the way the light changes throughout those long days, and honestly, the fact that you might see reindeer or Arctic foxes on your ski trip.
Exactly. And the silence. People don't realize how quiet it is out there on the trails. In other places, you might hear traffic or city sounds in the distance. Here, sometimes the only sound is your skis sliding over the snow and maybe the wind in the pine trees. It's almost meditative.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. And I think that's what we want our listeners to take away from today. Spring skiing in Lapland isn't just exercise, it's this whole experience of connecting with nature and finding that peaceful rhythm.
Absolutely. And you know, whether you're a complete beginner or someone who's skied before, spring in Lapland offers something special. Just remember to start easy, bring that thermos of coffee, and be ready for some magic out there. I'd say start with a short trail, maybe 3 or 4 kilometers. Take your time, enjoy the scenery. Don't worry about speed or technique too much at first. Just get the feel for it. Actually, let me tell you about my favorite beginner trail. It's the Ounasjoki River trail that starts right from the center of Rovaniemi.
Oh yes, I know that one. It's so accessible, and you get those beautiful views of the river. Plus it's flat, which is perfect when you're just learning.
Exactly. And if people want something a bit more challenging, there's the Ounasvaara hill trails. They have loops of different lengths, 5, 8, and 15 kilometers. The views from up there are incredible, especially of the city and the surrounding forests.
I love those trails. You know, speaking of learning, I have to share a funny story about my first time on the Ounasvaara trails. Sami, you remember this? I was so determined to keep up with you that I completely wore myself out in the first kilometer.
Oh, I remember that. You were trying to do this power skiing technique you'd seen on YouTube or somewhere.
Yes, I thought I could just muscle through it like I was doing some intense cardio workout. But what I didn't realize is that cross-country skiing is about efficiency, not just strength. I was fighting the snow instead of working with it.
Right. And then I had to explain to you about reading the snow conditions. That's something a lot of beginners don't realize. The snow tells you how to ski on it.
Oh, this is so important for our listeners to understand. Could you explain what you mean by reading the snow? Because I found this fascinating once I learned it.
Sure. So in spring, you have different types of snow depending on the time of day and temperature. In the morning, when it's been cool overnight, the snow surface has a thin crust. We call it harsh. And your skis glide really fast with minimal effort.
Oh, that sounds perfect. Well, I think we've convinced our listeners that spring is definitely the time to try cross-country skiing in Lapland. It really is one of the best ways to experience the beauty of our region.
Absolutely. And you know what? Even if you've never skied before, it's never too late to start. I know people who started cross-country skiing in their 60s and they love it.
That's so inspiring. Well, thank you all for listening to Living in Lapland. If you enjoyed today's episode about spring cross-country skiing, please share it with your friends who are learning English.
And join us next week when we'll be talking about the midnight sun and how it changes daily life here in Lapland during the summer months.
Until then, get outside and enjoy the beautiful spring weather.
Take care, everyone.